head of International Security Consulting. Russian Federal Nuclear Center at Chelyabinsk region, Russia. The National Astronomical Observatory at Mitaka, Tokyo, Japan. The Planetary Defense Mission Planner from Vandenberg Air Force Base. Lawrence Livermore Labs. Ames Research Center. NASA, Department of Energy. Goes on and on and on. Lunar Planetary Labs, Russian Federal Nuclear Center, I named those before.
Why are the two of you, I'm curious, why are the two of you deciding to come forward now after all this time?
Daryl, you want to handle that one first, or you want me to go?
Okay. I was asked that question by a movie producer just recently.
I can imagine.
He wants to... there's an offer to make a movie based on some of the things I'm relating here in my life. And basically what it amounts to is, he said, why are you coming forward with this kind of information? Why are you putting this finally in a book after 34 years of investigations? Why are you coming forward with this physical evidence? And he said, and I understand that there's a lot better evidence that you have even than implants, as great as that stuff is. Why? And I said, well, I didn't think until this year that I could really make a case. I said, I think we can now.
I know that you work closely with Dr. Roger Lear, and we've had him on the air, and you told me something the other day, something that Dr. Lear is into that is new. What's he doing?
Dr. Lear, we have done something rather remarkable. We just signed an agreement to do up to 7 TV programs, and we have creative control, editorial control over the material.
How unusual.
It's never been done before, and we are absolutely delighted with that, and it's a done deal. So that's the latest. There are several other things that Roger and I will be doing. In fact, I'll be leaving tomorrow afternoon in reference to that, and we'll be doing some filming further with other individuals, and this will also come out as one of the programs, but I assure you it will stun your listeners.
Daryl, you're familiar with Whitley Strieber, right?
Yes, of course. I know Whitley very well.
He was my guest last week on Dreamland. And Whitley has told a story about an implant in his ear for years now. And a surgeon went to take that implant out, applied the scalp, opened up his ear, applied the scalpel, and the damn thing moved. And he thought, And so he went after it again. And once again, the implant actually moved away from the scalpel. Now, I've heard Whitley tell that story, but we had the surgeon on, the doctor who did the surgery, and that's exactly the way he told it this last Sunday. Have you heard of things like that, Daryl?
I have 2 cases where this is alleged to occur, and both of them are under the skin, where the so-called object moves visibly underneath the skin, where you can actually see it. I have no idea as to whether that is related to anything that Whitley may have experienced. This would... It bothers me as to this, not Whitley's story, but the story that's related here, these two, as to whether this could be an implant or some kind of even microtechnology or whatever, because it would require some movement under the skin, would require sensation and obviously pain and other things and tissue damage and so on. If that were the case, if you could see this moving. And I've just had a case sent to me on video with this, and I'm reviewing it now. But there's a lot more testing that will be done before we will come to any kind of conclusion about it. I mean, there's a possibility it could be something as simple as a muscle reaction, an inversion of muscle as a result of spasm or this sort of thing. I mean, it could be something like that.
Well, it wasn't in this case.
Oh, I'm sure, like I say, what we're referring to here is different than what Whitley's relaying.
Remarkable testimony this last week. I have the tape. In fact, I had to play it up here on Coast one of these nights. I will. First-time caller line, you are on the air with the entire group here. Ronald Regier, Daryl Sims, and Art Bell. Hi.
Hello, Art.
Hi there. Where?
Daryl. This is Andrew in Oklahoma City, WKY.
Hi, Andrew.
I'm a retired Air Force Master Sergeant with a top-secret SSIR clearance, and have always wondered, considering that reconnaissance satellites can even discern license plate numbers, is it possible that there is potential satellite evidence of O.J. Simpson or his vehicle being present at the scene of the crime?
In other words, could they, good question, could they have seen it? I guess that would be for you, Ron.
Yeah. Yes and no. Yes, we could have if we were looking. That would have required using an elliptical orbit satellite, and those have to be either directed over a certain area beforehand, and that takes a lot of resources. If it had been over the area and they'd been scanning, they could have seen it. Let me give you an example. Remember when Terry Waite was held captive by...
Oh, yes.
It was several years ago. We were able, using our surveillance satellites, to follow Terry Waite from hostage location to location.
Wow. So we probably have capability that we can't even right now hint at, or even if you did know, you couldn't hint at.
Yeah, as the saying goes, I'll tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Well, what? Tell him something else. There's something you can tell Ron that would be very useful at this point and answer this gentleman's question, and also open some things up here for Art and his listeners. And that is, you could see Terry Waite not just because of sight, but you could also see him because of his heat signature. And there are things that like that, and a good example of this is the mere fact that you can tell information concerning, is a good example, the cattle disease that occurred in England. There's a different heat signature whenever those cattle are sick, and you can tell that anywhere in the world.
You're talking about mad cow disease, right?
You were paying attention while I talked, weren't you?
Oh, my. All right, we'll come back to that in a moment. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello?
Hello there.
Oh, hi. How are you?
We're all fine.
Oh, good. Well, it's very nice to be speaking with all of you. It's a very interesting program, and you always have interesting and very astute guests on, so.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, actually, I had a question going back to when one of the gentlemen specified that he knew about other spacecraft shooting at each other.
Yes.
So that possibly would infer that there were maybe more than one type of species being on the planet, right?
Yes.
We're possibly visiting.
Correct.
Well, I had called you before about little wrinkly men.
About what?
About the little wrinkly guy.
I'm sorry, I'm not recalling it offhand.
Okay, well, anyway. I was talking about being visited, you know, when people visit you and when you see creatures come in and stuff.
Yes.
All right. Well, one time something was pointed out to me, and it was the moon. And I was wondering, since we just sent another moonshot up there after all these years, right? And they went on the dark side of the moon, and they were visiting some, I don't know, structure on the other side of the moon. Would it be possible that they were trying to, I don't know, get rid of it or something? Just like they're not sending the pictures on Mars?
All right. I don't know how we'd address that, because I don't even know that I can confirm there's anything on the other side of the moon, but it does bring to mind a very good question for either one or both of you. We sent men to the moon long, long ago. We have not sent men to another planetary or satellite body since. Why?
I'll start. For one reason, it's very, very expensive considering what we can do with remote instrumentation. It's just horribly expensive. But I think there's probably another reason, and that is that our astronauts, if you believe Edgar Mitchell, for example, said, we know they're there. He knows there's aliens there. The government knows there are aliens there.
Buzz Aldrin has said that?
Edgar Mitchell.
Edgar Mitchell has also said that.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I had news from a reporter in Hawaii who's a friend of mine that Buzz Aldrin did a talk. And at the end of the talk, very much at the very end, he uncovered a palette with a picture of a typical gray, and he pointed at it, and without a smile on his face, he said, "These guys really exist." And there was just this sudden silence in the room. He didn't laugh. There was a little nervous chuckling out in the audience, and it was over. But he said that.
Well, it's interesting that NASA specialist, NASA's primary investigator, Farouk El-Baz, makes statements commonly concerning the huge, large spires that have been spotted on the moon by our people, and some of them is 5 and 6 times the height of the Empire State Building.